In the beginning, there was nothing. The world was a dark tempest until the goddess cast her light upon it and created a continent where 9 races came into being. The Dragonutes, the Elves, the Anafolk, the Dwarves, the Demonkin, the Dark Elves, the Centaurs, the Beast Folk, and finally humans, like our protagonist, Light. We see Light saying goodbye to his family as he sets out to become a great adventurer. He promises them he will earn enough for all of them to live comfortably. Once he arrives in the city, he goes straight to the Adventurers Guild to register. Since he's a first-time applicant, he'll start as F rank. But before finalizing the registration, the receptionist asks whether he has a gift. He says he does. Unlimited gacha. The receptionist has never heard of it, so Light decides to demonstrate. He rolls his gacha 3 times and ends up with a bent fork, a rotten apple, and a piece of moldy bread. He tries to explain that it doesn't usually go this badly, but the receptionist simply tells him F rank is definitely the right place for him. Light then asks if there are any jobs he can take immediately. She tells him the simplest tasks are posted on the bulletin board. Unfortunately, Light struggles to read, and she suspected that might be the case since human literacy rates are low. So she lists the options for him: gathering firewood, hauling soil, and cutting turf. The pay is low, but Light says that's fine. He works hard the entire day and earns just enough for lodging. He plans to pull something edible from his gacha to make up for the low pay. But before he can use the money, a group of beast folk steal all of it. Light begs them to give it back. He can't afford a place to stay without it. But they mock him, saying the amount he earned is barely enough to rent a pigsty anyway. His money will be put to better use by them. They tell him to go sleep in the dump with the rest of the trash. Crushed, Light sinks into despair. Until someone reaches out a hand to him. It's a beautiful elf. She kneels down in the muddy street just to hug him, showing she means no harm. Her name is Sasha, and she belongs to a party called the Concord of Tribes. Her group has a member from each of the 9 races created by the goddess, except for one. All they're missing is a human. With Light, the Concord of Tribes will finally become the perfect adventuring party. They form the group with a noble purpose: to end racial discrimination and build a fair world for everyone. They say someone like Light belongs with them. They welcome him warmly into their ranks. Light happily accepts. Soon after, they head into the largest and most dangerous dungeon in the world, the Abyss. Inside, the party constantly has to protect Light. Even the slightest hit could kill him. Sasha worries about him especially, to the point the others tease her and hint she might like him. But when they reach a room with only one entrance and exit, the mood changes. They tell Light he is being banished from the party. Light is stunned. He asks why. What did he do wrong? They tell him he's useless to them now. He can't understand it. They were so kind before. They explain that of course they were acting. They needed him in their party. Confused, Light asks why. They tell him it's because of his gacha. Their superiors noticed his unusual gift and suspected Light might be a maestro. That's why they invited him into the Concord of Tribes to keep a close eye on him. But now that they've seen his gift is worthless and his stats are completely average for a human, the higher-ups have concluded he isn't the maestro, which means he's just dead weight. Sasha says she wishes the top brass had figured it out sooner. It was obvious from the beginning. She says she feels relieved. Even if it would have given them the blood of a maestro, the thought of having to marry someone inferior makes her skin crawl. The others tease her again, saying it was hilarious watching her dote on Light to keep that possibility alive. But enough talk. They say they're going to finish Light off before any other adventurers arrive. Their orders were clear: eliminate any potential problems and make sure Light does not leave the dungeon alive. They aren't just banishing him from the party, they're erasing him entirely. The Beastman slashes him with his claws and Sasha fires an arrow straight through his leg. The group delights in Light's screams. That's what they enjoy most about hunting humans. Their cries are like sweet music to their ears. However, the Dragonute says that's enough. They already agreed that the cover story is supposed to be that Light died in a surprise monster attack, so they'd better stop giving him injuries that contradict it. The Beastman reluctantly agrees, then tells Light he will make it quick. Light begins crawling away, begging for mercy. He doesn't want to die, he wants to live. Just then, a magic circle appears beneath him, a teleportation trap. He's transported somewhere else just before the killing blow, but he has no time to feel relieved. Being sent elsewhere doesn't change anything. He's still going to die the moment he runs into one of the absurdly strong monsters lurking down here. His thoughts drift to his family, but then he thinks about his party, the people who treated him so kindly. They showed him warmth and compassion. He admired them, trusted them, believed in them. He was so happy, and yet it was all a lie. They tricked him into joining a dungeon expedition just to kill him. They treated him like garbage, sneering at him, mocking him, saying they had orders. That's why they tried to kill him? Screw that. He will kill them all. He's not dying here. They're all going to pay. Unfortunately, a monster suddenly appears, one that's level 1000. Light can't even understand how such a thing exists. Monsters like that only appear in old legends. Did he really get teleported to the deepest part of the abyss? He doesn't want to die, but how is he supposed to fight something like that? All he has is his gift, unlimited gacha. With no other choice, he rolls it. A woman is summoned from his gacha, and she immediately annihilates the monster attacking Light. She says she feels no mercy for anyone who threatens her master. Then she tells him she couldn't bear seeing his handsome face and beautiful skin marred by such terrible wounds, so she healed him completely. After that, she asks him to grant her the honor of hearing his name spoken in that lovely voice of his. Light introduces himself as she requests. She then announces that, according to the maid's code of honor, she is bound to her master. She will serve him with her life, devoted until the end. Light, still trying to understand what's happening, asks who she even is. The girl explains that her level is 9,999. She is known as May the Ever-Seeking Maid, a super ultra rare card from Light's unlimited gacha. Light can't believe it. His unlimited gacha is practically worthless. There's no way someone like her came out of it. May, in response, asked for permission to use her appraisal ability to examine the deeper details of his gift. It is impossible for his gacha to be truly worthless, so she insists he allow her to check. Light agrees, and May appraises his gift. She discovers its abilities are buried under a heavy layer of conceal magic, completely impossible for anyone below her level to detect. Light's unlimited gacha can be rolled an infinite number of times, and the rarity of the cards depends on the surrounding mana density. Rarities range from the highest, extra, and super ultra rare, down to the lowest, normal, and error. Mana flows everywhere in the world, but its density is lowest on the surface. That's why the chances of pulling a super ultra rare card like May up there are nearly zero. But deep within the dungeon, mana is abundant. Down here, Light's chances of getting rare cards are significantly higher. May assumes Light traveled all the way to the dungeon's depths just to access the full potential of his gift. But Light explains what actually happened, how he was betrayed by his party and left for dead. May immediately tells him that with her power at his command, bringing divine retribution to his enemies would be effortless. All he has to do is give the order. But Light refuses. The reason he was betrayed and nearly killed is simple. He was weak. He needs to become stronger. He wants revenge with his own hands. He wants them to suffer, all of them. May tells Light that if personal vengeance is what he seeks, then upon her maid's honor, she will help him achieve it. She believes in his potential more than anything, and so, Light rolls his unlimited gacha again in the abyss this time to build a kingdom capable of paving the way for his revenge. The pitch-black depths erupted with radiant light and became the first page of his grand tale of vengeance. 3 years have passed since Light was betrayed and cast down into the dungeon. In the deepest part of the abyss, a massive castle now stands as a testament to his survival and growing power. Light walks through the grand hallways of his fortress, accompanied by May. On either side of his path, rows of maids bow respectfully. These are the fairy maids, summoned to serve him. Light praises them for their hard work, thanking them for their dedication. The maids are overwhelmed with joy at receiving a compliment from their master, with some of them whispering excitedly about how cool he is. One maid even quietly admits she has an urge to smell his feet, displaying a level of devotion that borders on obsession. May, ever the protective head maid, asks for permission to silence them for their disrespect, but Light laughs it off, saying their admiration isn't a big deal. They venture out of the castle and into the surrounding underground city, which is bustling with life. Light greets his people warmly, wishing them a good morning. The inhabitants are thrilled to see him, offering him fresh food to try. However, some citizens mention that they are running low on snack foods. Light assures them he will inform the administrator immediately. As they walk, Light notes that the population has grown significantly over the last 3 years, suggesting that they might need to revise their entire governing system to keep up with the expansion. Light asks May for a status report on the other members of his elite team, known as the Quartet. May reports that they are all dutifully carrying out their missions. Aoyuki is currently scouting the upper perimeter of the abyss and creating detailed maps. Light calls Aoyuki a genius tamer for handling the monster-infested forests, though May remarks that Aoyuki is as fickle as a cat. Light smiles, noting that he wouldn't have her any other way. Regarding Ellie, May confirms she is making excellent progress developing new magic that aligns with Light's grand plan. Light worries slightly that Ellie might get overwhelmed by keeping so many different wheels in motion, but May assures him that they all relish the chance to serve him. Finally, there is Nazuna, who is patrolling the castle grounds. May describes her as an expert in close combat, but trails off when discussing her intelligence. Light laughs, acknowledging that Nazuna's simple nature makes things fun around the castle. Light and May move on to meet Jack, a large muscular man who acts as Light's sparring partner. Jack complains about waiting, addressing Light casually. May scolds him, insisting he use a proper title, but Light tells her to let it be. He views Jack as an older brother figure. May accepts this reasoning, and Jack heads off to the training room. In the training arena, Light and Jack face off. Light declares that the gloves are off today. They clash violently. Jack blocks a massive strike from Light and laughs, saying that he is lucky to be known as the Iron-Blooded Barricade, because that punch would have killed anyone else. Light grins, reminding him that he promised to go all out. Elsewhere in the castle, Nazuna is patrolling the hallways with boundless energy. She cheerfully announces that every area she checks is clear. A group of fairy maids approaches her, showering her with compliments about her work ethic and strength. Nazuna blushes, easily swayed by the praise. The maids then ask her for a favor. They claim there is a top-secret off-limits spot that needs patrolling, but they cannot go there themselves. They convince the gullible Nazuna that only she can handle this important task. Nazuna heads to the mysterious location, which turns out to be Light's bedroom. She bursts in, ready to secure the area, but finds May already there. May is flustered, claiming she is just cleaning and arranging the quarters even though Light is away training. Nazuna notices the bed looks messy, as if someone was rolling around and sniffing the pillows. May insists this is part of her unique trade secret bed-making style. Nazuna, being incredibly dense, believes her completely and praises May's housekeeping skills. May then remembers she has messages from the maids to read. She pulls out several notes that are openly hostile towards her. The notes demand an end to her monopoly on Light's room and call for the removal of the tyrannical head maid. The final note simply says, "Get wrecked," repeatedly. Nazuna is confused by the slang, wondering if it is a medical condition, but May calmly brushes it off. She tells Nazuna she will handle the maid's problems personally. To thank Nazuna for her help, May gives her a tip. Nazuna is thrilled to receive money and immediately runs off to spend it. Nazuna rushes to the store, ignoring the fancy chocolates and pastries. She spends her money on her favorite treat, dorayaki and milk. While eating, she runs into Aoyuki, who has returned from her scouting mission. Aoyuki communicates only in soft meows, which Nazuna cannot understand at all. Nazuna tries to guess what she is saying, asking if the trees were in the way or if she fought a strong monster. She starts to patronize Aoyuki, telling her that even though she was summoned first, Nazuna looks like the older and stronger one. She tells Aoyuki to feel free to depend on her if things get too tough. Aoyuki eventually gets tired of the act and speaks in a clear, flat human voice. She tells Nazuna that she encountered no threats and simply came back to deliver the map to May. Nazuna is annoyed that Aoyuki didn't just say that from the start and calls her a weirdo before continuing her patrol. Later, Nazuna enters the empty throne room. She approaches the throne, wishing Light was there so she could admire him. In her excitement, she leans on the throne and accidentally snaps a wing off one of the angel sculptures decorating it. Panicked, she hastily shoves the broken wing back into place without actually fixing it, hoping no one will notice, and runs away. Light finishes his training with Jack, sweating and exhausted. Jack compliments him on mastering the use of his body as a weapon. He notes that very few people in the Abyss can stand against Light now, which means almost no one on the surface will be a threat. Light remains cautious, vowing not to let his guard down until his revenge is complete. Meanwhile, May has gathered the 4 maids who sent the rude messages. The maids try to play innocent at first, claiming they just wanted to help lighten her load. However, when pressed about the "get wrecked" message, they falter. They try to blame Nazuna, but eventually admit they are jealous of May sniffing the master's bed. May rejects their demands and issues a punishment. She orders them to clean the long hallway leading to the throne room entirely by hand. The maids are horrified by the workload, but May tells them the path of the maid begins with a single step, just like leveling up. She informs them she will be going to the surface for a mission soon, and expects them to work hard while she is gone. Later that day, Nazuna is looking through shop windows in the city when Ellie finds her. Ellie, who is intelligent and arrogant, mocks Nazuna for being a dimwit. Nazuna tries to prove her smarts by reciting multiplication tables, but fails miserably at the basics. Ellie boasts that she recently had tea with Light to discuss their grand plans. She hints that next time she will book a private dinner with nocturnal entertainment. Nazuna throws a tantrum, screaming that it isn't fair and she wants to have tea with Light too. Back in the maid quarters, the 4 punished maids are fuming. They complain about May's unfair management and admit they are consumed by jealousy. They all share fantasies of cleaning Light's room, sniffing his sheets, or licking his used utensils. Fueled by envy, they decide to curse May. They begin chanting the word "die" over and over again. Suddenly, May enters the room. She coolly asks about the smear campaign. The maids panic and try to pledge their loyalty, claiming they look up to her as a mentor. May sees through their lies. She explains that for the 3 months before Aoyuki was summoned, she and Light were alone in a deadly dungeon. Light spent all that time reading books and training martial arts, leaving no time for the vulgar fantasies the maids are imagining. May decides she was too lenient before. Since they clearly have enough energy to curse her, she assigns them to clean the massive throne room by hand as well. As the maids scrub the throne room, they accidentally knock the angel wing that Nazuna broke earlier. It falls off easily, and the maids panic, thinking they broke it themselves. Meanwhile, Nazuna goes to sleep, disappointed she didn't see Light that day. The next morning, Light gathers his core team: Ellie, Aoyuki, and Nazuna. Ellie and Nazuna are bickering as usual about who is smarter. Light turns his attention to Aoyuki and starts petting her head. Aoyuki rubs against him like a real cat. Ellie gets jealous and demands Light stop, asking him to join her in her bedroom instead. Suddenly, a hellhound appears in their section of the dungeon. It is the same type of monster that nearly killed Light 3 years ago. Light freezes for a second, his body remembering the trauma. Seeing their master's distress, the 3 girls fly into a rage. They release their terrifying level 999 auras, declaring that the mere existence of the beast is a sin. They prepare to obliterate the creature with enough power to destroy the surroundings. Light quickly snaps out of it and orders them to stop, assuring them he is fine now. He notes that if he hadn't stopped them, they would have wiped out the entire species. Light then explains the reason for the meeting. He has received word from May. The plan is officially in motion because their prey has finally taken the bait. The girls are excited, with Ellie expressing some annoyance that May got to do the setup. Light tells them he is counting on them. After 3 years of preparation, it is finally time to serve his first dish of revenge. The hunt for vengeance begins in the heart of the beast folk territory, where the wolfman Garou walks through the streets like a king. The atmosphere is thick with the scent of adoration as the local beast folk crowd around him, shouting his praises and offering him their respect. Garou soaks in the attention with an arrogant grin, thinking to himself that he is truly a megastar and that these lower-born individuals should keep singing his praises. Inside a local tavern, the celebration continues as Garou drinks heavily with his loyal subordinates. Garou tells his men to eat and drink whatever they want because he has more than enough money to cover the cost. His followers look at him with awe, calling him an idol and noting how inspiring his rise to power has been. They discuss his instinctual perception, a natural gift that all beast folk possess but one that is significantly more powerful in Garou. He explains that his success comes from his nose. He can smell the quality of a job and only accepts the ones that offer the best rewards. As he drinks, Garou's mind drifts back to a secret operation from 3 years ago known as the Concord of Tribes. He thinks about how that was the easiest job he ever took. All he had to do was participate in the murder of a weak human boy named Light, whom the various nations suspected of being a maestro. The memory doesn't haunt him. Instead, it brings him a sense of satisfaction because that single act of betrayal made him rich and famous. He admits to himself that he was briefly concerned because they never found Light's body after the boy fell into a teleportation trap, but he dismisses the thought. He is certain no human could survive the depths of the abyss. He decides not to think too much about the mysterious maestro title, sensing that digging into government secrets is a dangerous game. The rowdy atmosphere is interrupted by the arrival of a beautiful human woman named May. She enters the tavern and politely asks for Garou. His men are immediately aggressive, questioning why a human thinks she has the right to speak to their boss, but Garou tells them to relax. May introduces herself as a loyal maid serving a man she calls Master Light. She explains that she has been searching the world for her master and mentions that he is of noble descent. Internalizing this, Garou is skeptical. He knows Light never mentioned being a noble, and he assumes the various nations would have uncovered that detail during their background checks. However, the greed in his heart takes over as he thinks about the potential for a massive payout. Mai explains that she recently learned Light had joined an adventuring party and perished in the abyss. She begs Garou to escort her to the exact spot where Light was last seen so she can see it for herself. To prove her sincerity, she opens a suitcase filled with pure gold ingots. Garou's eyes widen at the sight of the treasure. He realizes that even if this is a trap, a single human woman is no threat to a pack of elite beast folk. He puts on a performance, lying through his teeth as he tells May that Light was like a brother to him and that he owes it to his old friend to help her. He promises to gather his best men to protect her through the dangerous dungeon. Secretly, however, his motivations are much darker. He intends to reach the destination, take the gold, and then brutally assault and sell May right on the spot where Light supposedly died. The scene shifts to the dark, grimy depths of the abyss. May plays the part of a fragile human, acting exhausted from the long trek. Garou encourages her to keep going, thinking about how much he is going to enjoy tormenting her once they reach their goal. They finally arrive at the place where the betrayal took place 3 years prior. Garou points to the area and explains that a pack of monsters ambushed them, slashing Light up before he was taken by a teleportation trap. He pretends to be a grieving friend, claiming that despite his great strength, he failed to keep Light safe. May looks at the grimy surroundings and expresses how much her heart bleeds for her master. Her tone shifts as she describes the specific details of Light's suffering, how he was betrayed by vile scum, beaten, kicked, and shot with arrows. Garou jumps back in sudden alarm. He is unsettled because the specific details she mentioned, the kicking and the arrows, were never made public. Only the members of the Concordative tribes and a few high-level government officials know exactly how Light was tortured before he fell. He demands to know who May really is and who she works for, suspecting she might be a spy from a rival tribe. May calmly rejects the idea of being a spy, stating her heart belongs only to Light. She tells Garou that if he insists on insulting her honor as a maid, she will have to remove his internal organs. Terrified by an aura he cannot explain, Garou finds himself shaking. He can't understand why a human girl is making his instincts scream that he is about to die. Just as the tension reaches its peak, Light steps out of the shadows. He tells May to settle down, noting that Garou is his toy to play with. Garou and his men are in complete disbelief. They shout that it is impossible for a weak human to survive in the heart of the abyss for 3 years. Light greets his former teammate casually, explaining that he has returned to collect 3 years' worth of interest on the debt Garou owes him. Garou eventually regains his composure and begins to laugh hysterically. He looks at Light and sees the same boy from years ago, still seemingly at level 15. Garou, who is level 150, mocks Light's stupidity for returning to face a pack of beast folk who are all over level 130. He believes that killing Light again will guarantee him the throne of the Wolf tribe. Light asks if Garou isn't even curious about how he survived or why May is with him. Garou dismisses the questions, assuming Light only survived through some incredible stroke of luck or because May saved him. He orders 2 of his men to tear Light to shreds. Before the beastmen can even move, May blurs through the air. In a flash, both beastmen are decapitated. May calmly declares that anyone who threatens her master will pay with their life. Light thanks her and asks her to block the exit so no one can escape. Garou tries to convince himself it was just a sneak attack or a cheap trick involving magic items. He rants about how beast folk are higher on the food chain and that humans are just feeble losers with small mana pools. To prove his superiority, Garou uses his ultimate trump card. He summons a massive level 500 Magibeast named Fenrir. The giant wolf towers over the group, and Garou demands that Light drop to all fours and beg for his life like he did years ago. Light remains completely unimpressed, calling the level 500 monster pitifully weak. He promises not to move a single foot from his spot. Enraged, Garou orders his beast to fire its most powerful magic beam, the blazing Magibeast Howl. The blast is immense, kicking up a massive cloud of dust and debris. When the air clears, however, Light is standing perfectly unharmed. He mocks the attack, saying it did nothing but create a bit of dust. Garou and his surviving men are paralyzed with fear. They cannot comprehend how a human could smother an attack from a level 500 monster. Light decides it is time to show them a real monster. He pulls out an ultra-rare card and summons the primal god wolf Fenrir, a level 9000 entity. The god wolf is so powerful that it kills Garou's summon by simply breathing on it, freezing it solid before shattering it into pieces. Light then reveals his true level to the terrified wolfman. The numbers appear in the air, showing that Light has reached the maximum level of 9,999. Garou is convinced this must be a joke, or that Light is an imposter since he hasn't aged a day. Light explains that he wears a bracelet of youth to stop his aging. He wants to look exactly as he did 3 years ago, so that his anger and despair remain fresh in his mind. Realizing he is facing a godlike monstrosity, Garou collapses and begs for forgiveness. He tries to blame the government, claiming he was just following orders. When Light asks about the Maestro mystery, Garou admits he knows almost nothing. The government just told them to find one. When the other beastmen try to lie and say they have the answers to save their own lives, Mei executes them instantly for attempting to deceive her master. Light then asks Garou a strategic question. Based on what he has seen, does he think Light could win a war against the surface world? Garou is honest, noting that while Light is incredibly strong, he is still just one person. He explains that the nations of the world have spent centuries stockpiling powerful weapons and magical items that could eventually give even a level 9,999 warrior a hard time. Light smiles, noting that this is exactly what he expected. He tells Garou that they need to move to a more appropriate setting. With a snap of his fingers, he teleports Garou to his underground fortress. Garou finds himself in a massive throne room filled with thousands of soldiers. Light points out that even his standard infantry are level 1,500, while his elite guards are level 9,999. Garou's face goes pale, and his hair begins to fall out from the sheer stress of the revelation. He realizes that they didn't just fail to kill a human. They accidentally gave birth to a Lord of Destruction who could end the world whenever he chooses. Garou asks if Light is trying to become a god. Light admits that the idea has a nice ring to it. He explains that whether he becomes a kind god or a demonic monarch depends on the world itself. With his gift, he can provide either infinite blessings or total despair. He declares that the march from the darkness of the abyss to the surface world has officially begun. The story shifts back to a painful memory. Light is seen running toward his hometown. He calls out for his father, his mother, and his siblings, Els and Yume. However, the scene he finds is one of total devastation. The buildings are reduced to ash, and the warmth of his home has been replaced by the cold silence of death. In the present, Light stands before the graves he has painstakingly dug for his parents. It is 6 months since he finally returned from the depths of the abyss, a journey that took him 2.5 years. As he offers flowers to the earth, he reflects on the tragedy. While his parents were lost to the unknown attackers, he clings to a single thread of hope. The bodies of his younger siblings were never found. He tells himself that they must still be alive somewhere in the world, and this belief is the only thing keeping his heart from completely turning to ice. Accompanying Light are 2 of his summoned servants, a young girl named Nemumu and a man encased in brilliant, shimmering gold armor known as Gold. The armored man, speaking with a bombastic and casual flair, asks if Light is finished grieving so they can get a move on. He mentions that he has no desire to spend their first night on the surface, camping in the dirt. Nemumu immediately snaps at him, scolding him for his lack of respect while their master is mourning. She accuses him of being heartless and tells him to watch his tongue. Light watches them bicker, thinking to himself that he can never quite tell if these 2 are the best of friends or the bitterest of enemies. Gold defends his position, arguing that being an uptight twat doesn't help anyone, and that even Nemumu would surely prefer a real bed over the grass. Nemumu counters by declaring she would happily sleep in a swamp if it meant staying by Light's side. Gold laughs and claims his own loyalty shines brighter than his golden armor, but he maintains that they should avoid camping so their lord doesn't wake up exhausted. Light eventually steps in to end the argument. He tells them that they can worry about where to sleep later. For now, their priority is gathering information. He explains that while they know their forces are strong enough to take on the surface world, it would be reckless to start a war without knowing their enemies. Gold agrees, noting the wisdom in knowing both oneself and the opponent. Nemumu asks if their goal is to measure the military strength of the various nations, and Light confirms this. As a powerful aura begins to leak from his body, Light explains that he believes the destruction of his home is linked to the fact that people suspected him of being a maestro. He vows to find out why that title is worth so much bloodshed. He warns that if the truth behind everything is as evil as he suspects, he will transform the entire world into a burning hellscape. Gold tells his master to suppress his rage for now, as that kind of pressure could kill an ordinary person on the street. Light apologizes and puts on a magical item called the Fool's Mask, promising his parents one last time that he will never forget them. The trio travels toward the city of Dagas. While they move, Nemumu asks about their first move once they arrive, but Gold quickly reminds her to be careful with how she addresses their master. Light explains that while they are on the surface, he will go by the name Dark to ensure the conquered of tribes does not realize he is still alive. His plan is to register as an adventurer and raise his rank through quests, which will give him access to high-level information that only elite adventurers can see. As they approach the city, they witness a group of 3 dwarves harassing a human man and his young son. The dwarves demand everything the humans have, threatening the boy's life. When the attackers notice Gold's shining armor, they mock him, calling him Sparklebutt and demanding he show himself. Gold laughs at the insult, proudly stating that he wouldn't be the Auric Knight without a little sparkle. Light gives the order, and Namumu and Gold move with blinding speed to neutralize and tie up the dwarves. The rescued father, a man named Colonel, is overwhelmed with gratitude. He offers the group a ride in his carriage, marveling at the fact that humans could defeat dwarves so easily. Colonel explains that Dagas is a prosperous border city in the Dwarf Kingdom, sitting right between the human and elven territories. Because of the high-quality dungeon nearby, the city attracts many adventurers despite its rural location. He mentions that he runs a hotel specifically for humans, which is a rare comfort in these lands. Upon entering the city, the trio is struck by the amount of blacksmith shops and equipment stores, a result of the dwarves' specialty in craftsmanship. When they reach the Adventurers Guild, the atmosphere turns cold. The other races present look down on the humans. Light notices the clear racial discrimination, realizing that humans are treated poorly even in this prosperous city. Inside, Namumu gets into a heated argument with a female dwarf receptionist. She is outraged that Light is being assigned F rank, the lowest possible status. She shouts that Light is a master beyond any A rank or S rank, suggesting he should be given a special rank she calls SEX for super extra. Gold whispers that the name just makes him sound like a pervert. The receptionist remains unmoved, calling Namumu a stupid human and stating that everyone starts at the bottom. Light steps in, bowing his head and apologizing for his companion's outburst. He tells the receptionist he is perfectly happy to start at F rank and completes his registration. Once they leave, Namumu is inconsolable, weeping over the fact that she made her master apologize for her. Gold teases her for making a fool of herself, but Light gently tells her not to let it get her down. They make their way to Colonel's hotel, where they are greeted warmly by the man and his son. Light makes a specific request. He wants to rent out the entire top floor for a month and insists that no one, not even the staff, enter that area. He offers a massive payment, which Colonel initially tries to refuse since they saved his life. Light insists he accept it as a personal favor, and the man agrees. Once they are secure on the top floor, Light casts several high-level spells to prevent any eavesdropping or surveillance. With the room secured, Namumu expresses her concern. She tells Light that despite his overwhelming power, there is always a risk he could get hurt on the surface. She suggests that he could have stayed safely in the abyss and sent them to handle the revenge for him. Light's expression darkens, and a terrifying aura fills the room. He asks Namumu if she is trying to cut him out of his own revenge plan. Terrified by his cold fury, Namumu drops to the floor, begging for his forgiveness and admitting she was out of line. Gold supports Light, stating that a real man has to see his vengeance through with his own two hands rather than using middlemen. Light eventually calms down and apologizes, admitting his emotions got the better of him. To show her absolute devotion, Namumu performs a ritualistic gesture by kissing Light's foot. Light finds the act incredibly embarrassing and reflects on how some leaders demand such things, but he is not a fan of it. Gold cannot help but mock the scene, calling it kinky and accusing Namumu of being a nympho. This sparks another screaming match between the two servants as they head back out toward the dungeon. At the dungeon entrance, the trio encounters a massive line. Light observes that there are no elves present, and he explains to his servants that the Dwarf Kingdom and the Elven Queendom are currently fighting over who owns the dungeon. While they wait, 3 hooded figures cut the line, causing a stir. Light analyzes them, noting that while 2 seem average, the man at the front has a sharp, dangerous presence and carries a heavy weapon. When the line cutters intimidate some young human adventurers, Light decides to intervene. He tells the hooded man that it is poor form to cut the line. The man, a blonde elf named Keto, is insulted that a human would dare speak to him. He threatens the group, but Light remains calm, pointing out that being famous is even more reason to follow social rules. Keto nearly draws his sword in a rage, but his companion, a white-haired dark elf named Yanak, stops him, saying it would be a waste to use his skills on bottom feeders. They move to the back of the line, leaving the crowd of humans to cheer for Light and his group. The young humans who were pushed aside thank Light for standing up for them. Among them is a boy named Gimra and a girl named Mia. They notice Gold's armor and ask if it is real gold. Namumu says it is fake and tacky, while Gold insists it represents his shining example of knighthood. The kids warn Light that the dungeon is expansive and that most people bring camping gear, which the trio lacks. Light realizes that their lack of luggage makes them stand out, as they are used to using magical item boxes for storage. Inside the dungeon, Light is fascinated by the environment. He explains to his servants that dungeons are like their own separate worlds, powered by mana that grows stronger as one goes deeper. On one of the floors, they find themselves in a massive forest that looks exactly like the surface world, complete with its own sky. To save time, Light uses a series of high-rank cards, Clairvoyance, Conceal, and Flight, allowing them to skip past enemies and find the fastest route to the lower floors. Gold finds the efficiency a bit boring, but Light insists on the importance of saving time. Meanwhile, deeper in the forest, Kido is taking out his frustrations on a group of monsters. He screams about his status as the youngest elite warrior of the Elven White Knights and a descendant of a maestro. He is furious that his level has hit a limit at 1500, which he considers insignificant for someone of his legendary bloodline. Yanak encourages his anger, promising that his research will help Kido break past his limits. Secretly, Kido plans to kill the Dark Elf as soon as he is strong enough, trusting no one. As Light and his companions finish their hunting for the day, they decide to head back to the surface. Nemumu offers to help wash Light's body once they get back, leading to another argument with Gold. As they fly toward the exit, they spot the group of human kids from earlier fighting a pack of goblins. They decide to watch for a moment and see the kids successfully defeat the monsters. However, as the kids celebrate, Light notices a bush snake preparing to strike them from behind. He drops down and kills the snake instantly, warning the kids that staying focused on the enemy in front of them shouldn't mean leaving their backs exposed. Before they can fully thank him, the atmosphere shifts. A stampede of great bush wolves suddenly charges past them, fleeing in terror. Light realizes that the wolves aren't the threat, but rather what is chasing them. From the shadows, a massive and terrifying quad-scythe mantis emerges, towering over the young adventurers. Elio, the boy leading the small group of kids, trembles as he realizes the sheer impossibility of their situation. He frantically explains that this species was supposed to have been wiped out a decade ago and tells his sister, Mia, to prepare whatever magic she can muster. Desperate, Elio begs Light for help, suggesting that they only need to knock the beast off balance so everyone can scramble away to safety. Light, however, remains completely calm. He asks the boy if they would mind if his party hunted the creature for themselves, since the kids were planning on running anyway. Gold and Nemumu look the monster over with clinical interest, estimating that the bug is likely around level 500 and might actually provide a decent challenge. Elio thinks they are insane, insisting that fighting such a monster is a suicide mission and that they should be rushing back to the guild to warn everyone. Light simply assures the boy that they will be fine. As the mantis lunges, Light decides it is time to squash the pest. Gold is the first to leap into the fray, much to Nemumu's annoyance since she wanted the first strike. The knight exchanges a flurry of blows with the monster and is impressed when its thick carapace survives his heavy strikes without a mark. Light decides to test the creature's defenses as well, pulling a card from his gacha and releasing a fire arrow spell. The monster swats the flame away, leading Elio to believe the situation is truly hopeless. He calls for Mia to back them up, but the girl is frozen in place, staring at Light in total disbelief. She points out that Light just cast a combat class spell without using a single word for an incantation, a feat that is practically unheard of. Gold tells the children to settle down and pay attention, offering to show them how a real knight behaves on the field of battle. He explains that while most people think a shield is only for defense, a well-timed counter can turn it into a devastating weapon. To prove his point, he smashes the shield into one of the mantis's arms, shattering the limb instantly. He then follows up by explaining that a sword strike should come when the opponent is off balance, and he slices through another arm with ease. He tells the awestruck kids that battle is defined by creativity and skill. Light decides to end the struggle. He releases 30 fire arrows at once, controlling their flight paths so the monster cannot deflect them. Mia is even more shocked now, noting that even elves struggle to control that many projectiles simultaneously. Realizing it is outmatched, the mantis tries to run away, showing a level of intelligence that surprises Light. He refuses to let it escape, however, and casts a tactical class firewall spell to block the path. Mia's jaw drops as she witnesses a human perform high-level magic that belongs in history books. The monster tries to take to the air, but Light gives Nemumu the signal. She leaps high into the sky, screaming that the bug should be grateful to serve as a stepping stone for her master before she tears it apart. Gold is disappointed in her because she made such a mess of the monster's body that the valuable parts are ruined. Nemumu panics, realizing she may have failed Light by being too aggressive, and she begs for his forgiveness. Light tells her it is fine, especially since the kids managed to find a high-quality magic gem in the remains. Gold tells Nemumu she is lucky the gem stayed intact, and Light notes that they can finally use the item to raise their adventurer rank. The kids are baffled when Light reveals that they are only F-rank newbies, as they can't imagine anyone at that level taking down such a legendary threat. Mia uses her water magic to help Light wash the monster's blood from his hands. Elio introduces himself and thanks Light for saving their lives, offering to let them share their camp for the night since the sun is setting. Though Light doesn't want to be a burden, Elio mentions that Mia is desperate to talk about magic, so the group agrees to stay. Around the campfire, they share a simple meal. Mia assumes Light's parents must have been powerful mages to pass on such talent, but Light humbly praises Mia's own skills. Mia explains the hierarchy of magic to her brother and the others, detailing how combat class spells hit single targets, while tactical class spells cover wide areas. She mentions strategical class spells that can change the world, though those require massive groups of casters. She reiterates that a human casting tactical magic without an incantation is something legendary. Elio mentions that Mia is talented enough to be referred to the prestigious Academy of Magecraft in the Principality of the Nine, a nation shared by all races. However, since their parents died in an epidemic, they had to become adventurers to survive. Elio's goal is to save enough money to send his sister to the academy so she can have a better life. Light is moved by the boy's dedication to his sister, which reminds him of his own family. He reassures them that they will succeed. When asked about his own history, Light lies and says his parents died in a house fire that left him with his current scars. He explains that Gold and Namumu are traveling with him out of a debt of gratitude to his parents. The mood lightens as the kids tease Namumu and Gold about being a couple, which both of them strongly deny. Namumu declares her heart belongs only to Light, while Gold claims he only has eyes for mature, stunning women who match his golden aura. Elsewhere in the dungeon, Yanak and Kido move through the shadows, slaughtering monsters with ease. Kido is annoyed, grumbling that his legendary sword should be used for prestige rather than butchering vermin. Yanak tells him to calm down, explaining that they need these samples for his research into surpassing the growth limits of the various races. He cold-bloodedly reveals that their next step is to begin gathering humans to use as the primary material for his twisted experiments. Kido agrees, and the hunt for human test subjects begins. 2 weeks later, Light and his party have become local celebrities in the town, known as the Black Motley. They turn in another massive haul of magic gems at the guild, earning the respect of the receptionist and the attention of everyone in the streets. A few human adventurers, Suvelin and Gilbert, approach them to offer their support. They hope that Light can prove humans are just as capable as the other races who look down on them. While the non-human adventurers nearby mock the idea of a human casting high-level magic, Light and his companions ignore the insults, focused on their next move. Back in the dungeon's 5th floor, Light runs into Elio's party again. Mia shyly presents Light with a gift, a homemade ointment for burns that her grandmother taught her to make. She knows it won't fix his scars, but she hopes it helps with the pain. Light is genuinely touched by the gesture. In return, he pulls a wish bracelet from his collection and gives it to her. While Namumu thinks it is an unfair trade to give a legendary item for cheap ointment, Gold defends the choice, noting that the bracelet can grant small miracles and is a perfect, gentlemanly gift for a kind girl. Light eventually finds a secluded spot in the snow and teleports back to his secret throne room in the abyss. His loyal subordinates welcome him back. Light tells May that his life as an adventurer is going well, and that he has even made some friends. However, he quickly shifts back to business, asking about their revenge operations. Ellie confirms that everything is almost in place. Light tells Ellie to continue the preparations and instructs May and Aoyuki on their specific scouting and management duties. When Nazuna asks for a job, Light realizes she isn't great at complex plans, so he tasks her with being the ultimate bodyguard for the base. He expresses his dark excitement for the day he can finally see the look of despair on Sasha's face. Late that night on the dungeon's 3rd floor, the adventurers Suvelin and Gilbert are keeping watch. They discuss the rumors about the Black Motley, with Suvelin hoping Light is a champion who can topple the bigoted society they live in. Sullivan then goes off to find a place to relieve himself, leaving Gilbert alone. Suddenly, Kido appears from the darkness. When Sullivan comes back, he is horrified to find that Gilbert and the rest of his men have already been killed silently. Kido mocks Suvelin, expressing his deep hatred for humans. Suvelin tries to use the fog and his knowledge of the wetlands to escape, hoping to report the elf to the guild. However, Kido is far faster and more powerful than he anticipated. Just as Suvelin thinks he has slipped away, Yanak appears and knocks him out. Yanak is frustrated because Kido killed all the other humans, and he reminds the elf that he needs live subjects for his experiments. Kido promises to be more careful next time, though he insists on killing anyone who dares to fight back. They prepare to haul the unconscious Suvelin away, viewing him as nothing more than worthless fodder for their dark science. A few days later, the air inside the Adventurer Guild is thick with the sound of Nemumu's shouting. She stands before the reception desk, slamming her hands down as she demands that the staff raise Light's rank immediately. The receptionist looks pale, trying to explain that they already made a massive exception by promoting Light from F rank straight to D rank just the other day. Nemumu is not satisfied, arguing that Light's greatness cannot be measured by a standard system and that he deserves nothing less than the SX rank. The receptionist insists that not enough time has passed for another promotion, but suggests that if the party performs another monumental feat, the guild might reconsider. Light overhears this and begins scanning the quest boards. That night, he finds a notice regarding an unidentified adventurer killer who has been targeting humans within the dungeon. Gold agrees that hunting a serial killer is a perfect way to climb the ranks, but Nemumu points out the lack of leads. Light considers using his gacha to pull a tracking card, though he knows the odds are slim. Just as they begin to discuss calling in more backup from the abyss, Light's senses spike. He feels a sudden violent ripple in the space around them and warns his companions that intruders are approaching. A portal tears open in the middle of the room, and the unconscious body of Mia tumbles through. Light catches the girl before she hits the floor, noticing immediately that the wish bracelet he gave her is shattered. The magical item has done its job, saving her life at the cost of its own existence. They lay her on a bed, where she mumbles in her sleep about needing to warn Light. Despite his healing magic, she remains trapped in a deep slumber. Determined to know what happened, Light apologizes to her spirit and uses a hypnosis spell to dive into her memories. Through Mia's eyes, Light witnesses the events of the previous evening. Elio's party is warned by another group of fleeing humans about the adventurer killer, a mage capable of using multiple magical attributes. Realizing they are in grave danger, the kids decide to abandon their exploration and head for the surface immediately. Night falls as they trek through the wetlands, their bodies aching with exhaustion. Suddenly, they encounter Yanak and Kido. At first, the kids think they are just fellow adventurers, but the atmosphere turns freezing when Kido casually mentions that the number of adventurers has dropped off. Yanak sighs, admitting they should have done a better job covering up their tracks, while Kido mocks the speed at which the human worms reacted to the danger. Elio realizes with horror that they are standing face to face with the killers. He screams for Mia to run, while Gimra and Warty draw their weapons to buy her time. Kido laughs at the idea of bottom feeders fighting back against an elite elf like him. In a flash of blinding speed, he cuts Elio open, sending the boy to the ground in a pool of blood. When the others try to retaliate, they are sliced down with effortless cruelty. Mia watches in despair as her friends are butchered. Yanak scolds Kido for being too violent, reminding him that he needs them alive for his experiments. Kido dismisses the concern, having left Mia alive specifically so he can indulge in his twisted desires. He approaches the terrified girl, telling her she should feel honored that a future legendary hero like himself is willing to use her for pleasure. He demands she weep tears of joy for the privilege of being touched by a superior elf. However, Elio, clinging to life with inhuman tenacity, gets back up and tells his sister to run. Mia flees into the darkness, fueled by her brother's sacrifice. Behind her, Elio remembers the lesson Gold taught them about creativity and skill. Using his last ounce of strength, he uses his shield as a weapon instead of a defense, striking Kido across the face and sending the arrogant elf flying into the mud. Enraged that a human dared to touch his majestic face, Kido pierces Elio with a magical blade. He prepares to chase Mia, but she uses the power of the wish bracelet to teleport away before he can catch her. Light withdraws from the memory, his eyes cold and burning with a quiet, terrifying rage. He tells Gold and Nemumu it is time to go. They teleport to the scene of the massacre, arriving just as Yanak is sloppily patching up Elio to keep him alive for his research. Kido is throwing a tantrum, unable to believe a human girl escaped him using a high-value teleportation item. He fears the White Knights of the Elven Queendom will hunt them down if word of their crimes reaches the surface. Light steps out of the shadows, his voice a low, dangerous growl. He tells the two killers that they aren't going anywhere. Kido recognizes him but is baffled as to how a human could sneak up on a level 1,500 fighter. Light ignores them for a moment, closing the eyes of the dead boys, Gimra and Warty. He fully heals Elio with a powerful spell, mourning the fact that these hard-working kids died for nothing. He looks at Yanak and Kido and tells them they will pay for every ounce of suffering they caused. He declares that he won't let the guild have them. Instead, he will make them beg for death before tearing the life from them with his own hands. Kido loses his mind, screaming insults and vowing to flay Light alive. He lunges with his sword, but Light blocks every strike with casual ease. Kido grows increasingly desperate, unable to comprehend how a human child is outmatching him. He draws the legendary Phantasma-class sword, Grandius, which manifests multiple blades made of white light. Each blade is enchanted with a different magical attribute, creating a flurry of elemental strikes. Light continues to dodge and block, his expression unchanging. Yannack watches in horror, realizing that Light is not a warrior using a mage's disguise, but a true mage who can fight on an equal level with a Phantasma-class weapon wielder. Gold and Nemumu watch from the sidelines, calling Light an unlimited card mage who is truly one of a kind. Light decides to show Kido what real magic looks like. He casts an ice sword spell without an incantation, using the frozen blades to pick off Kido's light clones one by one. He then forms a rotating barrier of ice swords around his body, rendering Kido's attacks completely useless. Kido screams that it is impossible for a human to best a future legendary hero. He claims that he was born with the blood of a maestro, and that he is a submaestro, a title of great significance in the ancient history of their world. Light stops his attack, his eyes narrowing at the mention of that specific name. He demands to know how Kido knows about the maestro, his voice dripping with a dark curiosity that suggests Kido's suffering is only just beginning.